The wind howled through the mountain peaks like a wounded animal. Snow fell in thick sheets covering everything in white. Tejo pulled his worn jacket tighter around his body as he walked back to his cabin. The basket on his back held 3 rabbits he had caught that morning. It was enough food for a week if he was careful. He was 16 years old and had lived alone in these mountains for 3 years. His parents died when he was 13. An avalanche took them both while they were exploring a new valley. After that, no one wanted to adopt an older boy. The colony officials gave him his parents' cabin and some supplies. They told him to come to town if he needed help. But Tejo never went back. He learned to survive on his own. The cabin appeared through the snow. It was small but strong, built from mountain stone and thick wood. Smoke should have been coming from the chimney, but Tejo had let the fire die that morning. He was looking forward to warming up inside. Then he saw the tracks. They were not animal tracks. Too large, too strange. The prints were almost human-shaped but longer and narrower. They led from the forest toward his cabin and then veered away toward the frozen stream. Tejo set down his basket and followed the tracks. His hand went to the knife on his belt. His father's knife. It had never failed him. The tracks ended at the stream bank. There, half buried in snow, was a figure. Tejo approached carefully. The figure was small, maybe his age or younger. Definitely not human. The skin he could see was pale blue, almost white in the snow. Silver hair spread around the head like spilled mercury. The clothes were strange, made from material that seemed to shimmer even covered in frost. An alien, a real alien. Tejo had heard stories about aliens. The colony existed because of them. Humans had joined something called the Galactic Community 20 years ago. But this world, Bektu Prime, was remote. Few aliens ever came here. Tejo had never seen one in person. He knelt beside the figure. It was a girl, he realized. She was breathing, but barely. Her lips had a blue tint that looked wrong even for her strange skin color. She was freezing to death. Tejo did not think. He just acted. He pulled off his jacket and wrapped it around her. She was light, much lighter than a human her size should be. He lifted her easily and carried her back to the cabin. Inside, he laid her on his bed near the fireplace. He worked quickly, building a fire with practiced hands. Soon flames crackled and heat began to fill the small room. He piled every blanket he owned on top of her. Then he checked her for injuries. There was a cut on her arm, sealed with some kind of gel that glowed faintly. Her ankle was swollen. She had been running from something, or to something. Either way, she was in bad shape. Tejo made hot soup from dried meat and herbs. He managed to get some between her lips. She swallowed without waking. That was good. It meant her body still wanted to survive. He sat by the fire and waited. Outside, the storm grew worse. Wind rattled the shutters. Snow piled against the walls. Whatever the alien girl had been running from, they would not find her tonight. The mountains protected their own, and for now she was under Tejo's protection. Hours passed. The girl stirred as darkness fell. Her eyes opened slowly. They were violet, bright and clear like mountain crystals. She saw Tejo and tried to sit up fast. Too fast. She gasped in pain and grabbed her ankle. "Easy," Tejo said, holding up his hands. "You are safe. I found you in the snow." The girl stared at him. She said something in a language that sounded like music and wind chimes. Tejo shook his head. "I do not understand." The girl looked frustrated. She touched her ear and Tejo saw a small device there. Her fingers moved over it, pressing buttons. Then she spoke again. "Can you understand now?" The words were slow and mechanical, coming from the device. "Yes," Tejo said. "I understand. What happened to you?" The girl relaxed slightly. "My name is Nari. I am Velrin. Our convoy was attacked. Raiders. They killed our guards. I ran. I have been walking for 2 days." 2 days? In this weather? Tejo was impressed despite himself. Most people would be dead. "I had no choice," Nari said. Her voice through the translator was flat, but Tejo could hear the fear underneath. "They want to capture me. My father is an ambassador. They will ransom me." "Where were you going?" "The spaceport. On the other side of the mountains. My father's ship is there. But She looked at the window at the storm outside. "I cannot make it alone." Tejo thought about this. The spaceport was 3 days' walk in good weather. In a storm like this, it could take a week. The path was dangerous even for him. For someone like Nari, who was clearly not used to mountains or cold, it was almost impossible. "You need rest," he said finally. "Sleep tonight. We will talk tomorrow. We? Nari looked at him with those strange violet eyes. I will take you, Taiho said. I know these mountains. I can get you across. Why would you help me? You do not know me, Taiho shrugged. You need help. I can give it. That is enough. Nari studied him for a long moment. What is your name? Taiho. You live here alone, Taiho? Yes. How old are you? 16, Nari's eyes widened. You are a child. You live alone in these mountains as a child? I am old enough, Taiho said. He stood and ladled more soup into a bowl. Eat this. You need strength. As Nari ate, she kept watching him. Taiho went about his evening routine. He skinned the rabbits and hung the meat to cure. He checked the fire. He sharpened his knife. Normal things he did every night. But Nari watched like he was doing magic tricks. How much can you carry? She asked suddenly. Taiho looked at his pack in the corner. Maybe 40 kilos. 50 if I must. Why? Nari's translator made a choking sound. She had to adjust it. 40. That is. Taiho, how strong are humans? I do not know. Normal strong, I guess. How strong are your people? I can carry 5 kilos. Maybe 7 for a short time. Most Velran are the same. Now it was Taiho's turn to stare. How do you survive? We use technology, machines, anti-gravity sleds. We do not. She gestured at the cabin, at his simple tools. We do not live like this. Oh, Taiho said. He felt embarrassed suddenly. His cabin must seem very primitive to her. Sorry, this is all I have. No, Nari said quickly. I did not mean. Taiho, I am grateful. You saved my life. I did not know humans were so different from us. They sat in silence for a while. The fire crackled. Wind howled outside. Finally, Nari spoke again. The raiders who attacked us. They were 30 fighters, armed with plasma weapons and combat armor. If they find us, then we leave before they do, Taiho said calmly. Storm will clear by morning. We go at first light. 3 days to the spaceport if we move fast. Can we move fast with my ankle? Taiho looked at her swollen joint. I will carry you if needed. Carry me? For 3 days? Through mountains? Nari's voice rose. If needed, Taiho repeated. He said it like it was obvious, like it was no big deal. Nari stared at him again with that look of amazement. What kind of world do humans come from? Taiho smiled just a little. A hard one. That night, Nari slept in the bed while Taiho took the floor by the fire. He did not mind. The floor was warmer than many places he had slept. Before dawn, he woke and began preparing for the journey. He packed food, rope, medical supplies, fire-starting materials. Everything they would need. When Nari woke, she watched him work. She was beginning to understand something important. Something that would change how she saw humans forever. Taiho was not just surviving in these mountains. He was thriving. And if he said he could get her across, then maybe, just maybe, he really could. Dawn broke cold and clear. The storm had passed during the night, leaving everything covered in fresh snow. Taiho stood outside the cabin, breathing the crisp mountain air. He could see the pass in the distance, a gap between 2 peaks where they needed to go. It looks far, Nari said from the doorway. She had slept well, and some color had returned to her blue skin, but she still limped on her injured ankle. It is far, Taiho agreed. He finished tying his pack. It was heavy, loaded with supplies for both of them. But we will make it. He had wrapped Nari's ankle tight with cloth and given her a walking stick. She wore his spare jacket over her strange shimmer cloth clothes. She looked small and fragile against the vast white landscape. They started walking as the sun climbed higher. Taiho led the way, breaking a path through the deep snow. Nari followed in his footsteps, using the stick to keep her balance. After an hour, she was already breathing hard. Do you need to rest? Taiho asked. No, Nari said, but her voice was weak. We must keep moving. Taiho slowed his pace. He realized that what felt easy to him was hard work for Nari. Her people were not built for this. Their bodies were lighter, more delicate. Evolution had taken them down a different path than humans. By midday, they reached the first steep section. A slope of loose rocks and ice stretched upward for 100 meters. Taiho studied it, planning his route. How do we climb that? Nari asked. She looked frightened. Carefully, Taiho said. He took off his pack and secured it differently, tying it tight to his chest. Then he knelt down. Get on my back. What? No, I cannot. You cannot climb this with your ankle. I can carry you. Get on. Nari hesitated, then climbed onto his back. Her arms went around his neck. She weighed almost nothing to Taeho. He stood easily and began to climb. The ascent was tricky. Ice cracked under his boots. Rocks shifted and fell away, but Taeho's hands found holds that seemed invisible. His feet found purchase on surfaces that looked smooth. He climbed steadily, never stopping, never slipping. Nari held on tight. She could feel the muscles in Taeho's back and shoulders working, could feel his steady breathing. He climbed like the mountain was part of him, like he had done this 1,000 times before. At the top, he set her down gently. He was not even breathing hard. How did you do that? Nari asked. Her translator had trouble keeping up with her rapid speech. That should be impossible. You carried extra weight up a vertical climb and you are not tired? Taeho shrugged. I have climbed this way many times. You get used to it. Get used to it, Taeho. Most species in the galaxy could not do what you just did, not without enhancement technology or gravity assistance. Really? Taeho looked genuinely surprised. But it is just climbing, Nari laughed. It was a sound like bells. Just climbing, he says. You humans are incredible, they continued. The path led through a forest of twisted trees. Here the snow was not as deep, blocked by the branches above. They made better time. Taeho pointed out different plants as they walked. These berries are safe to eat. These leaves make good tea. This bark can be used for medicine. Nari recorded everything with a device on her wrist. You learned all this alone? My parents taught me some. The rest I learned by trying. Sometimes I got sick. Sometimes I did not. You learn fast when you have to. You could have died. Yes, Taeho said simply, but I did not. Around mid-afternoon they heard a sound like thunder. Taeho grabbed Nari and dove behind a large rock. Seconds later, tons of snow roared down the mountainside. An avalanche. It missed them by 20 meters, but the force of it shook the ground. When it passed, Nari was shaking. You knew. How did you know? I heard it. The snow was unstable on that slope. I should have taken us a different way. I am sorry. You heard it before it fell? That is not normal, Taeho. It is normal for here, he said. You must pay attention or the mountain will kill you. They moved more carefully after that. Taeho chose paths that led away from dangerous slopes. He was reading the mountain like other people read books. Every snowdrift, every rock formation told him something. Evening came fast in the mountains. The temperature dropped quickly. Taeho found a small cave sheltered from the wind. He started a fire using flint and steel. The flames grew, pushing back the darkness. We made good time today, he said. Tomorrow we will reach the high pass. Then it is downhill to the spaceport. Nari sat close to the fire. Her ankle hurt, but she did not complain. She watched Taeho prepare food, mixing dried meat with melted snow and some plants he had gathered. The result smelled surprisingly good. Can I ask you something? She said. Yes. Why do you live alone? The colony town is not far. You could live there, with other people. Taeho was quiet for a moment. After my parents died, people looked at me with pity. They wanted to help, but their help felt like charity, like they felt sorry for me. I did not want that. Here in the mountains, I do not need anyone's pity. I can take care of myself. But are you not lonely? The question hung in the air. Taeho stirred the pot. Sometimes, he admitted. But lonely is better than being someone's burden. You are not a burden, Taeho. You are one of the most capable people I have ever met. He looked at her, surprised. You have met many people? My father is an ambassador. I have visited 40 worlds. I have met thousands of beings from hundreds of species, and none of them could do what you do. The strength, the endurance, the ability to survive in a place that would kill most others. She shook her head. Do you know what they say about humans in the wider galaxy? No, we are new, right? Just joined recently. Yes, and most species are still learning about you. But there are stories. Stories about human ships that keep fighting when they should have been destroyed. About human soldiers who will not quit even when injured. About humans surviving on worlds that were supposed to be uninhabitable. She looked at him seriously. Some species are starting to be afraid of humans. Afraid? Why? Because you do not know when to stop. Because you are so much tougher than you look. Because you come from a world that tried to kill you for thousands of years and instead of dying, you conquered it. Taeho thought about this. Earth is not that bad. Taiho, my homeworld has gentle weather, safe plants, and no dangerous animals. The biggest challenge we face is choosing which entertainment to enjoy. Your world has predators, poisons, diseases, extreme weather, natural disasters, and a dozen other things trying to kill you. And you call it not that bad. Well, I have never been to your world. Maybe I would think it was too soft. Nari laughed again. Yes, you probably would. They ate together, sharing the simple meal. The fire crackled. Outside, stars appeared in the clear sky. Millions of them. More than could be seen from the colony town with its lights. What is out there? Taiho asked. In the galaxy? Everything, Nari said. Thousands of worlds. Billions of people. Trade in art and science. Wonders you cannot imagine. Beautiful things. Terrible things. All of it connected, all of it alive. And humans are part of it now? Yes, you are new, but you are making an impact. Human engineers are solving problems that stumped others for years. Human doctors are saving lives with techniques no one else thought of. Human ships are exploring places others thought too dangerous. Because we do not know when to quit, Taiho said, remembering her earlier words. Exactly. They sat in comfortable silence. Taiho added more wood to the fire. Nari adjusted her translator, making sure it would keep working in the cold. Tomorrow will be harder, Taiho said. The high pass is steep and icy, but we will make it. I believe you, Nari said, and she meant it. This human boy living alone in the mountains had already done things she thought impossible. If he said they would make it, they would make it. She was learning something important, something her people needed to understand. Humans were not just strong or tough or stubborn. They were all of those things, yes. But more than that, they were survivors. They did not give up. They did not quit. They kept going no matter what. And that, Nari realized, made them dangerous. But it also made them incredible. That night she dreamed of mountain peaks and starlight, of a lonely boy who had saved her life without a second thought. When she woke, Taiho was already up preparing for the day's journey. Ready? He asked. Nari stood, testing her ankle. It still hurt, but less than yesterday. Ready, she said. They left the cave and walked toward the rising sun, toward the high pass, toward whatever waited for them on the other side of the mountains. The high pass was everything Taiho had warned about. Wind screamed between the peaks, carrying ice crystals that stung like needles. The path was narrow, with cliffs dropping away on both sides. One wrong step meant death, but Taiho moved forward steadily and Nari followed. Her ankle was better today, good enough to walk on carefully. When the path became too dangerous, Taiho carried her. When it was safe enough, she walked. They worked together, finding a rhythm. By afternoon, they reached the top of the pass. Below them, the land stretched out in rolling hills covered in snow. In the distance, Nari could see lights. The spaceport there, she said, pointing. We made it. We actually made it, Taiho smiled. It was rare to see him smile, and it changed his whole face. Made him look younger, more like the 16-year-old boy he was. Told you we would. They started down the far side of the mountain. The descent was easier than the climb. The sun was warm on their backs. For the first time since Nari had fled the raiders, she felt hope. Her father's ship was at that spaceport. Safety was close. They were halfway down when Taiho stopped suddenly. His hand went up in a warning gesture. Nari froze. What is it? She whispered. Tracks. Fresh. Many people. Taiho knelt to examine the snow. They are ahead of us, waiting. The raiders? Maybe. We should, well. What do we have here? The voice came from above. Figures appeared on the rocks around them. 30 of them, all armed. They wore armor and carried weapons that glowed with power. The raiders, Nari's heart sank. They had been so close. A large alien stepped forward. He was tall, with red skin and 4 arms. His eyes were cold. The little Velrin girl. We have been waiting for you. Took you long enough to cross those mountains. Kiros, Nari said. She knew him. He had led the attack on her convoy. And you brought a pet human with you. How cute, Kiros laughed. The other raiders joined in. Tell me, boy, do you know who you are protecting? Taiho said nothing. He stood between Nari and the raiders, his hand on his knife. She is worth millions, human. Her father will pay anything to get her back. But you are worth nothing. Walk away now and we will let you live. No, Taiho said simply. Kiros's expression darkened. No, you stupid child. There are 30 of us. We have weapons that can melt steel. You have a knife. What are you going to do? Whatever I have to, Tejo said. His voice was calm. Too calm. The raiders laughed harder. They did not understand. Nari did, though. She had spent 2 days with Tejo. She had seen what he could do, and she was terrified, but not of the raiders. Last chance, human, Kairos said. Give us the girl. Tejo's answer was to move. He was fast. Faster than the raiders expected. His knife flashed in the sun as he charged. The nearest raider raised his weapon, but Tejo was already inside his guard. The knife found a gap in the armor. The raider screamed and fell. Plasma bolts lit up the air. Tejo rolled, came up running. He grabbed a fallen weapon and threw it like a spear. It hit another raider in the chest, knocking him backward off the rocks. Shoot him. Shoot him. Kira shouted more bolts. One caught Tejo in the shoulder. The smell of burned flesh filled the air. It should have stopped him. It should have put him down. Instead, Tejo kept moving. He used the rocks for cover, attacking from angles the raiders did not expect. Another raider went down with a broken arm. Another fell unconscious from a blow to the head. Tejo moved like the wind, like the mountain itself. He was bleeding from multiple wounds now, but he did not slow. The raiders began to panic. This was not how it was supposed to go. They were professionals, trained fighters with advanced weapons. The human was just a boy with a knife. But nothing was stopping him. He is human, one raider screamed. A death worlder. They do not go down. Kill him! Kairos roared. All of you together? Kill him now. They concentrated their fire. Tejo took 3 more plasma hits. His clothes were burned, his skin blackened, but his eyes were still clear, still focused. He grabbed a rock and threw it with all his strength. It hit a raider so hard the alien's helmet cracked. Nari watched in horror and awe. She had read about humans. Had heard the stories, but seeing it was different. Tejo was taking damage that would have killed any Velrin 10 times over. His body should have shut down. But humans were different. Humans came from a world that taught them to endure, to survive, to fight through pain that would break other species. Kairos finally realized his mistake. He was not fighting a child. He was fighting a human, and humans did not quit. Fall back, Kairos ordered. Fall back. But Tejo had already disabled their transport vehicles. The raiders found themselves cut off, surrounded by the terrain Tejo knew so well. He herded them like animals, using the mountain against them. More raiders fell. Some were injured. Some simply gave up, throwing down their weapons. They had never faced anything like this. Their weapons had barely slowed him down. Their numbers meant nothing. The human kept coming, kept fighting, kept getting back up no matter how many times they knocked him down. Finally, Kiro stood alone with 5 of his raiders. The rest were scattered, wounded, or unconscious. He looked at Tejo with new eyes filled with fear. What are you? Kairos whispered. Tejo stood bleeding, swaying, barely staying on his feet, but his knife was steady. Someone you should not have threatened. Please, one raider said. He dropped his weapon. Please, we surrender. The others followed. Weapons clattered to the ground. 30 raiders, or what was left of them, stood with their hands up. They were begging for mercy from a boy they had laughed at minutes before. Tejo looked at them. He was hurt badly. Nari could see how much blood he had lost, how much pain he must be in, but his eyes were still clear. Leave, he said. Leave now and do not come back. Our vehicles, walk, I do not care. Just go. Kairos stared at him. You are letting us go? I did not help her cross the mountains just to become a killer on the other side, Tejo said. But if you come back, if you threaten her again, I will not be so kind. The raiders ran. They ran like children fleeing a monster. They abandoned their equipment, their wounded, everything. They just wanted to get away from the human who would not die. When they were gone, Tejo's legs gave out. He collapsed in the snow. Tejo! Nari rushed to him. She activated her emergency beacon, calling for help from the spaceport. Then she tried to stop his bleeding with what little medical knowledge she had. Did they leave? Tejo asked. His voice was weak. Yes, they are gone. You won. Good, are you okay? Am I okay? Tejo, you are dying. Not dying. Just hurt. Humans heal. Give me a minute. A minute? You need a hospital. You need. Tejo, how are you even conscious? He managed a small smile. Practice. Nari's emergency beacon was working. She could hear engines in the distance. Help was coming. But she held Tejo's hand and whispered to him. Stay awake. Please stay awake. Help is coming. Okay, he said. Okay, I will try. Security vehicles from the spaceport arrived 5 minutes later. They found Nari holding an unconscious human boy, surrounded by abandoned weapons and injured raiders. The scene told a story they could barely believe. 1 human, 30 raiders, and the human had won. The security team called for medical evacuation. As they loaded Taiho onto a stretcher, the team leader looked at Nari. What happened here? A human happened, Nari said. A human protected me. The team leader looked at the battlefield, at the evidence of the fight. He shook his head in wonder. I have heard stories about humans, but I never believed them until now. Nari held Taiho's hand as they loaded him into the medical transport. She thought about the past 3 days, about the lonely boy who had saved her without hesitation, who had carried her across mountains, who had fought 30 armed raiders to protect her, and she realized something important, something that would change her life. Humans were not just strong or tough or dangerous. They were capable of incredible kindness. They would help a stranger without asking for anything in return. They would sacrifice themselves to protect others. That combination, Nari thought, made humans the most terrifying and the most wonderful species in the galaxy. As the transport lifted into the sky, carrying them toward the spaceport in safety, Nari made a promise to herself. She would repay Taiho for what he had done. She would make sure his sacrifice meant something. She would make sure he was never alone again. The medical bay at the spaceport was the most advanced facility on Baekdu Prime. But even with all their technology, the doctors were struggling. They had never treated a human before, especially not one with such severe injuries. His body temperature is too high, one doctor said. We need to cool him down. No, wait, another argued. For humans, this might be normal fever response. Let his immune system work. He has lost too much blood, but his blood is clotting faster than it should. Look at the readings. Nari stood outside the treatment room watching through the window. Her father, Ambassador Minho, stood beside her. He had arrived an hour ago when her emergency beacon activated. Now he watched the doctors work on the human boy who had saved his daughter. He fought 30 raiders, Minho said quietly. The security team showed me the evidence. 30 armed professionals. And he won. He did more than win, Nari said. He let them live. He could have killed them all, but he showed mercy. That makes him remarkable. Minho put his hand on his daughter's shoulder. You care about him. He saved my life. More than that, father. He did not have to help me. He gained nothing from it. He just helped. Because it was the right thing to do. Inside the treatment room, the doctors were discovering things about human biology that amazed them. The plasma burns that should have destroyed tissue were already beginning to heal. The broken ribs were setting themselves. The blood loss that would have killed most species was something the human body was compensating for. His healing factor is incredible, one doctor said. It is like watching time-lapse footage. He is responding to the pain medication, but barely. His pain tolerance is off our charts. Look at his muscle density. No wonder he could carry the weight he did. No wonder he could fight like that. One of the doctors, an older Velrin named Dr. Somin, came out to speak with Minho and Nari. She looked tired but impressed. He will live, she said. We were worried at first, but his body is handling the damage better than we expected. Much better. He will need rest, but humans apparently heal very quickly. When will he wake up? Nari asked. Soon, maybe an hour. Maybe less. His body is already fighting off the sedatives we gave him. Dr. Somin shook her head. Remarkable species, humans. Absolutely remarkable. 40 minutes later, Taiho's eyes opened. He looked around the white room, confused. Machines beeped softly. His body was wrapped in bandages. Everything hurt, but it was a distant hurt, like it was happening to someone else. The door opened. Nari came in, followed by an older Velrin man in formal clothes. He had the same violet eyes as Nari. Taiho, Nari said. She sat beside his bed. How do you feel? Tired, he said. His voice was rough. Did you make it? Are you safe? Yes, thanks to you. The older man stepped forward. I am Minho, Nari's father. I owe you a debt that I can never repay. You saved my daughter's life. Taiho looked uncomfortable. I just helped her cross the mountains. You did much more than that. You protected her from raiders who wanted to harm her. You fought 30 armed criminals and won. The security teams are still trying to understand how one person did what you did. I just did what I had to do. That is what makes it special, Minho said. You did not think about the cost. You simply acted. That kind of courage is rare anywhere in the galaxy. Taiho did not know what to say. He had never been good with compliments. He changed the subject. The raiders. Did they get away? Most of them, yes, Minho said. But we captured 3 who were too injured to run. They are talking. Telling us everything about their organization. Thanks to you, we will shut down their entire operation. Good. You let them live, Nari said. Why? After what they did, after they tried to kill you, you let them go. Taiho thought about this. My parents died in an avalanche. The mountain did not hate them. It was just being a mountain. Killing them would not bring my parents back. It would just make more people dead. He looked at Nari. You were safe. That was the point. Killing them after that would just be revenge. I did not want to be that person. The room was quiet. Minho and Nari exchanged glances. You are wise beyond your years, Minho said. Most beings, after facing what you faced, would want blood. But you chose mercy. That is the mark of someone special. Over the next few days, Taiho recovered in the medical bay. Doctors came to examine him, curious about human healing. Other humans from the colony came to visit, surprised to learn that one of their own had done something so remarkable. The colony administrator offered him a place in town, a real home, but the most frequent visitor was Nari. She came every day, sometimes multiple times. They talked about everything. She told him about the galaxy, about the thousands of worlds and species out there. He told her about the mountains, about living alone, about the simple life he had known. What will you do now? She asked one day. When you are healed? Go back to my cabin, I guess. It is my home. It does not have to be. Nari looked nervous. Taiho, my father and I have been talking. We want to offer you something. Offer me what? A future. A real future. The Velran people do not forget debts. You saved an ambassador's daughter. That means something in the galaxy. My father can sponsor you for the Galactic Academy. It is a school where beings from all over known space learn together. Science, art, history, everything. You would have teachers, resources, opportunities. I do not have money for something like that. You do not need money. We would pay for everything. Consider it repayment for saving my life. Taiho was quiet. It was too much, too big. The galaxy was huge and he was just a mountain boy who knew how to trap rabbits and climb rocks. I do not belong in a place like that, he said finally. Why not? Look at me. I am not smart like you. I have no education. I have lived alone in the mountains for 3 years. I would not fit in. Nari leaned forward. Taiho, do you know what I have learned about humans in the past few days? By talking to doctors, by researching your species. Humans are incredible. Your endurance, your healing, your strength. But it is not just physical. Human minds are amazing too. You learn fast. You adapt. You solve problems in ways other species do not think of. You are not just anything. You crossed those mountains in 1 day when it should have taken 3. You read terrain like I read data files. You survived alone for 3 years in conditions that would kill most adults of any species. You fought 30 raiders and won. Stop telling me you are not special. Taiho looked at her. Why do you care so much? Because you saved my life without thinking twice. Because you are my friend. Because I have visited 40 worlds and met thousands of beings. And you are one of the best people I have ever known. She took his hand. And because I think you have been alone long enough. Those words hit Taiho harder than any plasma bolt. He had been alone for so long. He had convinced himself that he liked it that way, that he did not need anyone. But Nari was right. He had been lonely, so lonely. What about my cabin? My parents' things? We can arrange for someone to maintain it. Or transport everything off-world if you want. But Taiho, that cabin is not a home. It is a cage you built for yourself. Minho entered the room. He had been waiting outside, giving them privacy. What do you say, Taiho? Will you join us? Taiho looked at them both. These aliens who had come into his life and changed everything. He thought about his parents, about what they would want for him. They had been explorers. They had loved discovery and new experiences. They would not want him hiding in the mountains forever. Okay, he said quietly. Okay, I will try. Nari's face lit up with joy. Really, you mean it? Yes, but I am keeping my knife. And some mountain stone from Bektu. Reminders of home. Of course, Minho said. He smiled, something he did not do often. You are making the right choice. The galaxy needs people like you. People who protect others. People who show mercy. News of what happened spread through the spaceport and beyond. The story of the human orphan who defeated 30 raiders became legend. Other species heard about it and added it to the growing collection of stories about humans. About their strength, their endurance, their unexpected kindness. In a bar on the far side of the galaxy, a merchant told the story to a group of traders. 30 raiders armed to the teeth, one human boy with a knife. And when he won, you know what he did? He let them go. Just told them to leave. Humans, one trader said, shaking his head. They could conquer the galaxy if they wanted to. Thank the stars they are on our side. Back at the spaceport, Taiho was finally cleared to leave the medical bay. He walked out wearing new clothes, his old knife still at his belt. Nari waited for him with her father. Ready? She asked. Taiho looked back at the mountains one last time. The peaks where he had grown up. Where his parents died. Where he had learned to survive. They would always be part of him. But it was time to see what else was out there. Ready, he said. Together they walked toward the spacecraft that would take them off-world. Toward a future Taiho had never imagined. Toward the vast, strange, wonderful galaxy. He was not alone anymore. And maybe, just maybe, that was better than anything he had known before. 3 months had passed since Taiho left Baekdu Prime. 3 months that felt like 3 years. The galaxy was bigger and stranger than he had ever imagined. The Velrin medical facility where he stayed during his recovery was unlike anything on his home colony. The building floated above the surface of the planet, held up by technology Taiho did not understand. The walls were made of crystal that changed color with the time of day. Gardens grew on every level, filled with plants from 100 different worlds. Taiho stood on a balcony, looking out at the Velrin capital city. Towers of glass and light stretched as far as he could see. Flying vehicles moved through the air like schools of fish. The sky was purple instead of blue. 3 moons hung low on the horizon. Beautiful, is it not? Taiho turned. Ambassador Minho stood behind him dressed in formal robes. He had aged in the past months. The stress of negotiations and politics showed on his face. It is different from home, Taiho said. Do you miss it? The mountains? Sometimes. But this is amazing. All of this. He gestured at the city. I never knew places like this existed, Minho smiled. Your people will build places like this someday. Humans are young in the galaxy, but you are growing fast, learning fast. In 100 years, human cities will rival anything the old species have made. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Minho spoke again. I came to tell you something. The raiders you fought have been caught. All of them. The 3 we captured told us where to find the rest. Kairos and his entire organization are now in custody. They will face trial for their crimes. Good, Taiho said. They are terrified, you know. Of you. They talk about you like you are some kind of monster. The human who would not die. The human who showed them mercy when he could have killed them all. Minho paused. They are lucky you are who you are. I am just... Do not say you are just anything. I know what you did. I know what it cost you. You almost died protecting my daughter. That debt can never truly be repaid. You are paying for my education. That is more than enough. No, Minho said firmly. That is a beginning. But I have been thinking about what else we can offer you. What you truly need. Before Taiho could ask what he meant, Nari appeared. She wore simpler clothes than her father, practical and comfortable. In the months since they met, she had become Taiho's closest friend. His only real friend, if he was honest. Father, you are not supposed to tell him yet. It is meant to be a surprise. Tell me what? Taiho asked. Nari looked at her father, who nodded. Then she turned to Taiho with a smile. We have arranged your enrollment in the Galactic Academy. The semester starts in 2 weeks. You will be studying general sciences for the first year. Then you can specialize in whatever interests you. I know this already. You told me last month. Yes, but what I did not tell you is that I will be going too. I deferred my enrollment so we could start together. You will not be alone there, Taiho. You will have a friend. Someone who knows you. Someone who will help you adjust. Taiho stared at her. You deferred your enrollment for me? But you were excited about the academy. You talked about it all the time. And now I am more excited because we will experience it together. Besides, I owe you my life. Spending a few extra months in recovery seemed like a small price to pay. Nari, you did not have to. I wanted to, she said firmly. You saved me. You protected me. You carried me across mountains and fought for me when you barely knew me. Let me do this for you." Taiho did not know what to say. In his life in the mountains, he had learned to rely only on himself. The idea that someone would change their plans for him, would give up something they wanted to help him, was foreign. It made him uncomfortable and grateful at the same time. "Thank you," he said finally. It was all he could think to say. Over the next 2 weeks, Taiho prepared for the academy. He studied basic galactic history and learned about the major species. The Velrin, who valued art and philosophy. The Thrain, a warrior culture that respected strength. The Korthi, master engineers and builders. The Minari, peaceful traders who connected the galaxy through commerce. And dozens more, each with their own cultures and values. He also learned more about how other species viewed humans. The reputation of his people was growing. Human traders were making deals that others thought impossible. Human scientists were publishing papers that challenged old theories. Human explorers were finding new worlds in uncharted space. But it was the stories of human toughness that spread fastest. A human ship that had limped back to port with damage that should have destroyed it. A human doctor who had worked for 30 hours straight to save patients during an emergency. A human pilot who had landed a crashing shuttle through sheer determination and skill. And now, a human boy who had defeated 30 raiders and shown them mercy. "They are afraid of us," Taiho said to Nari one evening. They were studying together in the facility's library. "Some are," Nari admitted, "but not all fear is bad. Sometimes fear is just respect by another name. The galaxy is learning that humans do not quit, that humans protect their own, that humans can be dangerous when threatened but kind when approached peacefully." She looked at him. "You showed them that. You fought like a demon, but you did not become one. That is important. I just did what felt right." "Exactly. And that is why you will do well at the academy. You have good instincts." The day finally came to leave for the academy. The institution was located on a neutral station in deep space, far from any single world. It was a place where young beings from across the galaxy learned together, building the foundations for future cooperation and understanding. Taiho packed his few belongings. New clothes, courtesy of the Velrin government. His father's knife, which he would never leave behind. A piece of mountain stone from Bekdu, gray and rough with veins of crystal running through it, and a datapad loaded with information about the galaxy. He met Nari and Minho at the spaceport. The ambassador looked proud but also sad. His daughter was leaving home. "Take care of her," Minho said to Taiho. "I will. And let her take care of you. You are not alone anymore. Remember that." "I will remember." Minho embraced his daughter, then surprised Taiho by doing the same to him. "You have become like a second child to me. Make me proud." The journey to the academy took 2 days by hyperspace jump. Taiho spent the time looking out the observation windows, watching stars blur past at impossible speeds. Each star had planets. Each planet might have people. The scale of it all was overwhelming. "Are you nervous?" Nari asked. "Yes," Taiho admitted. "What if I cannot keep up? What if everyone else is smarter than me?" "Then you learn from them. That is the point. Taiho, you survived alone in deadly mountains for 3 years. You outsmarted 30 trained raiders. You are not stupid. You just have different knowledge than others. You will learn their knowledge and they will learn yours." The academy station appeared in the viewing window. It was enormous, a wheel spinning slowly in space. Lights glowed from thousands of windows. Ships of every design came and went like insects around a hive. "Welcome to the Galactic Academy," the pilot announced. Home to 15,000 students from over 300 species. The finest educational institution in known space. They docked and made their way through the station. The corridors were filled with beings of every shape and size. Tall ones, short ones, ones with scales, ones with fur, ones that floated, ones that walked on more legs than Taiho could count. And humans. Taiho saw other humans for the first time since leaving Bekdu. They walked with confidence, talking and laughing with alien classmates. They fit in here. They belonged. Maybe he could too. The orientation took place in a massive hall. Thousands of students gathered to hear the academy director speak. She was an ancient Minari, her skin covered in patterns that showed her age and wisdom. "You come from different worlds," she said. Her voice was translated into hundreds of languages simultaneously. "Different species, different cultures, but here you are all the same. You are students. You are the future. What you learn here will shape the galaxy for generations to come. She talked about cooperation and understanding, about how the Academy had existed for 500 years, training leaders and innovators, about how every great achievement in recent galactic history had Academy graduates behind it. Look around you, she said. The person next to you might be from a world you have never heard of. They might look strange to you, but they are your classmate, your colleague, maybe your friend. Learn from them, teach them, grow together. Taiho looked at Nari, who smiled back at him. After orientation, they found their assigned quarters. Students lived in shared pods, usually grouped by compatible biology. Taiho would be living with 3 other humans, all older than him. One of them, a girl named Hana, greeted him at the door. You are Taiho? The mountain boy? I heard about you. The whole station has heard about you. What did you hear? That you fought 30 raiders and won. That you carried an alien girl across the deadliest mountains on Baekdu in one day. That you are tougher than steel and kinder than saints. She grinned. No pressure or anything. The other 2 roommates introduced themselves. Jiwon, who wanted to be an engineer. Doyen, who studied xenobiology. They welcomed Taiho warmly, asking him about his experiences, about the fight, about what it was like living alone. You are going to be famous here, Jiwon said. Humans already have a reputation. But you added to it. You made us look good. I just did what I had to do, Taiho said. He was getting tired of saying that. That is the human way, Doyen said. We do what needs doing. We do not quit. We protect our own. That is why other species are starting to respect us. Fear us, maybe, but respect us definitely. Classes started the next day. Taiho struggled at first. The other students had better education than him. They knew things he had never heard of. But he worked hard, stayed after classes, asked questions, and slowly he started to understand. He discovered that he was good at practical applications. While other students struggled with theoretical problems, Taiho could see how things worked in the real world. His years of survival had taught him to think in concrete terms, to solve problems with limited resources. In a class on environmental adaptation, he shocked everyone by explaining how to find water, food, and shelter on a hostile world, using only basic tools. The professor, a Korthi with 6 eyes, was impressed. Most students learn these things from books. You learn them by doing. That is valuable knowledge. Taiho also discovered that other students wanted to know about humans. They asked him questions constantly. How strong are humans really? How much pain can they tolerate? Is it true humans can run for days without stopping? He answered honestly, sometimes surprising even himself with what other species found remarkable. Nari was there through all of it, helping him study, introducing him to other students, making sure he did not feel alone. They ate meals together, explored the station together, studied together. She had become more than a friend. She was family. One evening, 3 months into the semester, they sat in an observation lounge watching ships come and go. Are you happy? Nari asked. Taiho thought about it. Happy was not a word he had used much in his life. But now, surrounded by friends, learning new things every day, part of something bigger than himself. Yes, he said. I think I am. Good. You deserve to be happy, Taiho. So do you. Thank you for bringing me here, for not giving up on me. I could never give up on you. You saved my life. But more than that, you showed me what humans are really like. Strong, yes. Tough, yes. But also kind. Also merciful. Also capable of incredible friendship. She looked at him seriously. The galaxy is better with humans in it. And I am better with you in my life. Taiho smiled. It came easier now than it had 3 months ago. I am better with you in mine too. They sat together in comfortable silence, watching the stars. Somewhere out there was Baekdu Prime with its mountains and snow. Taiho's cabin still stood there, maintained by Velrin caretakers. Maybe someday he would go back to visit, but it was not his home anymore. This was his home now. The academy. The station. The galaxy. And he was not alone. The story of the orphan human boy who helped an alien girl cross the mountains had ended. But the story of Taiho, student and friend and survivor, had only just begun. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders, and Taiho was ready to see all of it.